Hi, everyone. Today, I would like to talk about having Savior SE and dealing with a physical handicap or disability. I've actually been really curious about this topic for a while. For someone who does have Savior SE and relies on the sensory, how does it affect them if they are physically disabled or handicapped? And I will share my story here. I also wanted to give a little update on where I'm currently at in my ops journey. If you've been following me, you know that I took a very roundabout way to get my official type. I just started making these videos as I was learning ops. I came into this from Myers-Briggs, as we all do. I was trained and certified in Myers-Briggs, and I strongly identified with being an INFP. It was quite a shock to me when I got my typing results back, and I turned out to be an ST. I did not expect to be an EP or cranked up on the extroversion. I consider myself very introverted. I feel like a lot of people who know me in real life probably would watch these videos and be like, what the hell? I'm very quiet in real life, unless I drink. My official type ended up being a double feminine, SETE, play, blast, sleep, and I'm missing consume. And I also just recently found out that I am a social type 1, and it has answered a lot of questions for me. And I think it actually makes things a lot easier for me to process because I didn't understand why I was the way I was. Even though my type, SETE, is incredibly common, within your type, there's just subtypes and subtypes and subtypes. And I feel happy in a way that I'm kind of one of the rare ones. I know it's dumb. It's like, I don't have to be rare, but I want to be rare. When I found out that I was an SETE, I was very disappointed because I thought there's like a million of me, especially in the community. So I'm not at that point yet where I feel super confident and comfortable with typing others in my life. I think I'm getting a lot closer to typing my husband, which has been so difficult for me. Coming from Myers-Briggs, he is 1,000% an INTJ. I've been so hesitant to give him a label all this time, and it is because I am Demon NI, so I have a hard time concluding, but I think I've finally done it. At this time, I am pretty confident that he is a double masculine, NI, FI, sleep, blast, consume, and missing play, social type number 1. And the person that shares that exact same personality type in the celebrity archives is Steve Jobs. I thought maybe he could have been an NITE or NITI, but I'm starting to see that his TE is in a demon state, but it's masculine and aggressive, which is why he seems so NT. The funniest similarities is going to be the masculine TE aggression at people and also the raging at physical things. He definitely has that intimidation factor that a lot of people talk about with Steve Jobs, just insanely high standards and high expectations for other people, whether it's his friends, people that work for him. It's you better meet his expectations. But I love that about him. And I think because I'm also a fellow social type number 1, I'm the same, but not as intimidating and aggressive as him. I was looking at the air table that someone in the community made. I'll drop a link in the description. And because I'm officially typed in the community, my face pops up too. So I was looking at my exact personality type all in a row. And now that when I see it all side by side, like, okay, physical clusterings, I see it. And it's really cool that it transcends things like race and ethnicity. You kind of have a similar physical vibe. And that's kind of how I felt about my husband with Steve Jobs. I was playing with the Airtable. I happened to be in a meeting facing my husband with my laptop up, and then I saw Steve Jobs. And the picture that they show for him is a picture when he was younger. If it was an older picture, I really wouldn't have thought much of it. But in his younger picture, and I was staring directly at my husband, the physical similarities are there. I could go on and on about how they're similar. I think it's such an interesting type. Dark, but loner, but so confident and unbothered, so intelligent. But because of the feminine FI, there's a little bit of irritation that can come out. And then the swing into the masculine TE, where it's just aggression, and then also the just raging at the physical things. And so I looked at my exact type twins and I took the picture of the girl Marzia only because she is probably the one that's closest in my age out of that group. I took her picture and I put it next to Steve Jobs' picture, like side by side. And I gotta say, it gives off the same vibes as me and my husband, which is so cool. So if you know you and your partner's type, pull up photos with that exact same type side by side, but at the current age that you're at now and see if the vibe is the same. Because I swear it's so cool. Okay, anyway, I'm getting on my own nerves because I haven't even touched what I wanted to talk about, the main topic of today, which is Savior SE dealing with some type of dealing with some type of a physical handicap or disability. When I talk about being a Savior SE with a physical disability, I'm talking strictly physical. So not, behavioral, mental, learning disability. I'm talking about strictly physical. It could be one of your senses. Maybe you're blind. Maybe you're deaf. Maybe you lost a limb. Maybe you can't walk, something like that. I would love to hear more on people who are Savior SE living with some type of disability like that. As Savior SE, we are relying so heavily on our SE. So to be deprived of one of those things, I imagine would lead to a severe lack in life, whether that's your confidence, ambition, it's going to truncate something heavily. And so I just wanted to talk about my personal experience with that. And I'm not necessarily handicapped or deprived completely in one of those ways, but I am hearing impaired and I actually have to wear hearing aids every day. Obviously, I got the cool Apple white ones. These are actually like one generation older than some of the new technology out there, but I saw the white ones and I was like, nope, I need that one. So they special ordered it for me. As a play, blast, sleep, consume, I'm technically supposed to be cranked up on the extroversion, but I think that because of my hearing impairment, I had very little confidence growing up, and it's because I felt left out and isolated and I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't hear. Those of you with hearing impairment know how lonely it is and how isolating it is to not be able to hear. Especially when someone like cracks a joke and everybody laughs and you're like, what? And they say, no, nothing, nothing, or forget about it. It's like, it sucks. It hurts. I cried my whole life about little things like that, which happen literally every day. My theory is that my hearing impairment hindered me in life because it reduced my confidence in one physical area that everybody else has. And as a Savior SC, comparison is always happening. And so my baseline of myself compared to others was, oh, I suck because I can't hear. I can't even tell you the amount of times as a kid I would get in trouble by people of authority, especially teachers, who would single me out and say things like, that was already explained, or you should have known that. And it's like, I really, really did not know. I used to like run to the bathroom and cry because it wasn't my fault, but I felt like it was my fault. And not to mention, like, what kind of fucking teacher, so mean. They would literally snap at me and say, you already knew this. Like, bitch, no, I didn't. I remember it was in the second or third grade. We were all being rotated in class every week so that we could sit next to new people. And I was in the front row, and the teacher announced, hey, we're all going to be switching and moving seats with the exception of boom. And then she slams her hand on my desk with the exception of Candace because she just got hearing aids and she can't hear. And then the whole class turns their head and stares at me. And I just remember in that moment, I ripped out my hearing aids and I threw them in the bottom of my book bag and I swore I would never be caught dead wearing them. And that's when I was like 7 or 8. And I just got my hearing aids maybe 2 years ago now that I wear every day. And I'm turning 36 in a few weeks. So that's how long it took me to process that shame and to convince myself that I deserve to hear. It really was all external comments that I processed inwardly and believed for the longest time. There were even times throughout my life where I just got so, so, so sad and sick of being left out. And I would like pop my hearing aids back in and immediately, and I'm talking within like the first 10 minutes, someone would be like, are you wearing hearing aids? And then everyone would start gawking. And that's just been my experience. It was horrible. I feel like for kids, it's so common to wear things like glasses or braces. No one thinks anything of it. But when it comes to hearing aids, it's different because it's something that old people wear. What actually changed my mind about hearing aids, this is going to sound so superficial, is the invention of AirPods. Everyone walks around with AirPods sticking out of their ears and they're white. And just more and more, Bluetooth headphones started to resemble hearing aids to the point where I thought, you know what, it's like the same thing. And if they make it in the Apple White, then, you know, so thank you, Apple, because I feel like that's what made it so much easier for me to transition to wanting to be a fully hearing person. The technology is better. When I first got it when I was 7, I kind of compare it to if you have bad eyesight, but all they do is give you a magnifying glass so that everything is bigger. It doesn't necessarily help you because it's not attuned to your precise needs. But that's what it felt like with the hearing aids back in the day, is that it just amplified absolutely everything, unnecessary things. So people snorting in the back of the room or shoes scuffling and pens dropping. It was all so overwhelming because everything just got louder and I couldn't actually hear the crisp edges of the words. And so it didn't make anything better. Sorry, this is so much SE, but just like need to get it out of my system. My hearing on my left side is much worse than my right. I have like maybe 60% hearing in my left ear, and then I have, is that right? I have like 50% hearing in my left ear, and then I have 70% hearing in my right. So I was always like using my right ear to hear. I mean, I still do. It's just a ingrained lifetime habit. But at the time, the doctors and the audiologists only wanted to focus on the ear that was worse. The side that couldn't hear, the neural pathways in my brain were already deteriorating. So when words got louder, it did not help. It just was so overwhelming. And so they only wanted to focus on that ear. And so I was still relying on this ear and it just felt so off balance. But now they recommend fix both so that they're the same, which makes so much sense. It's made a lifetime of a difference for me. I feel so much happier and so much more confident because I feel like I can participate in life, participate in conversations. Before getting my hearing aids 2 years ago, like I even hated being at work and being around coworkers because even in meetings, I have no idea what's being said, especially when we're in a meeting room where the sound just amplifies and bounces off the walls. And when people were talking through their COVID masks and I couldn't lip read, it was just horrible. It was horrible. But now I can hear. And the best part about it, it's like a secret thing, is that it Bluetooth syncs to your phone. And because it syncs with your phone, you can also stream. So I can literally open up TikTok or Reels and watch videos with the sound going directly into my ears, and no one knows. If I'm bored, I can turn on an audiobook or a podcast and just sit there and look completely innocent. So super cool. But anyway, all of that to say, in hindsight, how dumb of me to let external pressure and being different hinder me from not being able to hear for my whole life. Like, I feel sort of this responsibility in a way that if there are other girls out there and maybe they see me wearing hearing aids, I hope that it helps them to process any shame that they have around it. I didn't have that type of role model or anyone saying, oh, it's okay. I just had a lot of people lying to my face saying, oh, you can't even see it, only for me to go to school and everyone's staring. Like, that was the biggest shame of my life. I remember one of my first boyfriends ever was over at my house once and he was just looking through my things, my bookshelf, figurines, whatever. And then he came across my hard shell case that contained my old hearing aids. I snatched it out of his hand so hard and I just hid in the bathroom. Like I did not want him to see it. I didn't want him to find it. And then finally, when he pressed me about it like 2 weeks later, I broke down sobbing, telling him that I was hearing impaired, as though it was like something to be sorry about, you know? But that's how big the shame was for me. And I couldn't even talk about it for the longest time. So I'm glad that I'm at a place now where I can wear hearing aids. I'm a lot more comfortable with myself and I can talk about it. Thinking back, I feel like my hearing impairment caused me to withdraw into my demon FI and my NI. And that's why I was a lot more angsty and dark and emo than maybe my type twin counterparts. That's just my current theory. Could be wrong. My disability is so minor compared to some other people. And I cannot imagine someone who is Savior SE, who maybe went through the first half of their life perfectly fine, and then they got into an accident, and then they suddenly became blind or deaf, or they're in a wheelchair. Like I can't even imagine like how devastating that is. And I don't know how I would cope with something like that. Okay, that was a whole lot of jarble, and good luck to me to edit it down. But I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.